Happy Monday, guys. Wishing you all a great week ahead. I wanted to talk about a headline that I saw today in the independent newspaper, independent.co.uk. They were referring to an article in Esquire UK magazine, and it was entitled Becoming Idris Elba. It was an article that had wonderful photos, so do check it out. It's in Esquire UK. So it is a wider article talking about Idris Elba, or indeed Idris Elba being interviewed. But I'm just going to refer to the part of the article where Idris Elba talks about race, and that is the part of the article that is within the independent newspaper. So it's about Idris Elba, who is a actor. He's a British actor, and he has a wonderful accent. He is a very talented actor and a DJ, I believe. He has a beautiful wife, beautiful daughter, and a son, I believe. He's a 50-year-old bloke, fully grown man, father, husband. So you cannot be telling this man what to think, okay? So he's come forward in this article and he's given his views on race. So the headline in the Independent is Idris Elba says he no longer calls himself a black actor because it puts him in a box. And they reference the article in Esquire UK. So I'm going to summarise and just paraphrase what he says about this issue, and the issue being race. So he says he doesn't want to be known as a black actor, just an actor. Okay, so the man wants to be free. He just wants to be known as an actor. He says that we as humans are obsessed with race and that can hinder people's aspirations and growth. He says if we spend half the time not talking about the differences but the similarities between us, the entire planet would have a shift in the way that we deal with each other. He acknowledges that racism is very real, but he says it's only as powerful as we allow it to be. He talks about the area where he grew up and wanting black kids as well as white kids to see that if he can do what he's done and if he can achieve what he has achieved, that they can too. So all well and good. And I've seen now this blow up. I've seen a lot of criticism of what Idris Elba has said. Some people who have, in a sense, supported what he has said has also referenced Morgan Freeman, I believe over a decade ago in 60 Minutes, also talking about race. And now everybody loves Morgan Freeman. So Morgan Freeman, again, an actor, an American actor. He says, and I should say he's a lot older than Idris Elba, so he's a different generation. And he said something similar. He said something in his interview about, I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and that's the interview was a white Jewish man. He said, I'm going to stop calling you a white man, you're going to stop calling me a black man. I know you as X, whatever his name is, and you know me as Morgan. He says about Black History Month that he doesn't want the history of his people relegated to a single month. He asks, well, how many months does white people have in terms of their history? And asks this white Jewish man if his people have a history month, to which he replies, they do not, and he doesn't want one. And Morgan says, well, I don't want one either. He says that Black history is American history, and I suspect what he would like and what he is trying to say is that if it's American history, it should be taught in the same way as white history, or be taught better, because I believe that there is some criticism about how Black history is taught in American schools, because I've heard that there is criticism that it's not reflected accurately, truthfully, and fairly, or in fact thoroughly. So people have spoken out against him. So for example, there's a John Boyega, who is a British actor. You may recall him from Star Wars. He spoke out on Twitter against what Idris Elba had said, and I've highlighted that up here in the video. Interestingly enough, though, when I saw this comment, I wasn't so much interested in what he had to say, but more interested in the comment below. So somebody had commented on John's comment, and it's at make oxtail cheap again, which first of all is just the best name. Make oxtail cheap again, fabulous. And what he says is, or she says, he's not wrong. Many black people talk about being typecasted into stereotypical roles because of their race. So what is my take on this? I, in a nutshell, agree with Idris. And I agree that when race becomes such a thing, so much of your identity that others put on you, right? You grow up just thinking you're just a person. But society puts on to you that you are identified as this person and you are in a box and this is your people and this is your community and this is where you belong. And I agree that with that comes a lot of stereotypes, a lot of archetypes, a lot of expectations, a lot of limitations are put on you. And you grow up with this perception, and it can be very limiting. You grow up with a perception of what is expected of you, what you're expected to achieve, what you can't achieve, where you can't be, where you can't grow to. And that is very limiting. You need to grow up in a world where race doesn't define you. It just is you. It's a part of you. And there's a lot of things that are a part of you. You want to grow up in a world where you think you can achieve anything and there's no limits on your ability. And you're not limited because of your race. No matter how talented you are, or indeed your gender, or your sexuality, or whatever it may be. I've had people say to me growing up, when I wanted a particular career, you're not going to achieve that. Come on now, be realistic. You're not going to achieve that because there's not many ethnic minorities that do. So the probability of you getting there is going to be low. You're so disadvantaged, or it's going to be so much harder for you, and you would have wasted all that money and all that time, and you may never get there. And you need a contingency plan, you need a backup plan. And I had that mentality the whole of my childhood and the whole of my early adulthood. And I really fought to get where I am. And I don't know if I necessarily had to fight that hard in reality, but I was made to believe that if I didn't fight, I would have never got there. And it all felt like a fight. Everything felt difficult. Everything felt hard. And it shouldn't be, right? I should have been encouraged to follow my dreams and believe that I could do it, no matter what. But I don't know if I did. I perceived that there were so many hurdles and so many blocks and so many blocks and hurdles in my way that it was almost near impossible if I achieved where I wanted to be. And then when I did achieve what I wanted to be, I remember someone, asking me, well, do you think it's because of your race that you got to where you got? Do you think they gave you the job because of your race? That they needed numbers. Do you think that helped you? Do you think your race helped you? I was like, what? I was so hurt, so offended. I never forgot that comment. And I was so hurt and offended because I had been led to believe for so long that it was near impossible that I would make it. I'd have to fight. And so I did fight, and I worked really damn hard. And then when I got there, to be told, well, maybe you got it because of your race, I was just so offended and so hurt. And the funny thing is, I started to believe that maybe it was because of my race. That it wasn't because I had fought or I worked so hard. It was because of my race that I got there. And I was so hurt. And to be honest, even though I remained in that career for years, I was always prevented from excelling and moving up the ladder because of my internal fears that it just wasn't possible for someone of my race, of someone of my background. And, it does affect your mental health. It does affect your self-esteem. It does give you anxiety. And in many ways, it was created by other people and created by myself internally. All because of my flipping race, right? Just ridiculous. And, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about this issue. But I get what Idris is saying. And I get what Morgan Freeman is saying. I also get that there's loads of people that are obsessed with identity politics and obsessed with labels. But a lot of us just want to be like everyone else. Okay? A lot of us just want to be treated like everyone else. We don't want to be treated differently. We don't want to be seen differently. We don't want people to act differently around us. And we don't want to be treated especially or specially. We just want to be like everyone else. We want people to see us for who we are, for our talent, for our hearts, for our brains, for our soul, for our mind. And we want people to see our skin as a feature of us, to be celebrated, for people to be interested in, like all the other parts of us. I love talking about my heritage. I love talking about my parents. I love talking about all these different things, but I want them to be received positively and be seen as a part of me, as everything else is, as my culture is, as my upbringing is, as so many other features of me, not to be my defining feature that limits me and puts me in a box and people have all these preconceptions about me. And I also understand the people that do critique him, that do critique Idris Elba and do critique Morgan Freeman. And I do understand people that say, well, we do need Black History Month because we do need these particular labels and we do need to be celebrated because, and I get that. Because otherwise we wouldn't be, right? Because otherwise we wouldn't be celebrated. There would be nothing for us. I get that. Because the reality is that in the world we live in, that unless everyone is on board with Idris Elba's position, with Morgan Freeman's position, then that philosophy, that position, judging everyone for the content of their character rather and seeing beyond the colour of their skin, unfortunately it will just continue, won't it? Unless everyone is in it together, then racism's just going to continue. We want a utopia, kind of like babies, right? When they're born and they're all in one room, all different colours, different sizes, different abilities, and they have no idea what colour means, what race means, what culture means. They have no idea. They can't even see colour. Babies can't even see colour for a period of time. They just get on with it. And that's how we all started out. And so I'll just end it there, guys. Thank you, guys. I hope you liked my video and please subscribe to my channel. Bye, guys.